Yep, we're doing it again. Here's a look at some more knockoff horror figures that I found over on eBay. The popular series, though I wouldn't call it necessarily a series, but a popular ongoing thing that happens on this channel every once in a while is that this guy here seems to stumble onto a listing on eBay for knockoff horror figures, and I grab them like a bandit. Ironically enough, this particular set was also told to me by a viewer, I think over on Instagram, had pointed out that this set existed. I didn't know it existed, and I quickly jumped over on eBay, found it, and I grabbed it. Again, I don't know why I grab these sets. I ask myself this question every single time I end up buying one of these auction listings. Why do I bother? There's something charming, I have to admit, for these. Say what you will about the very crude, and I have to stress this, very crude designs of these characters. There's something rather charming about them nonetheless. Just how bad, I pose the question, can these actually get? Well, these ones are moderately bad. They're actually not that bad at all. We're going to have a look at them. If you guys are, by the way, interested in picking this setup for yourself, I think it still is on eBay. It certainly wasn't a one and done. I bought it and now you'll never see them ever again. I think there was several listings still available, so you may even be able to luck out now and pick up this set for yourself. I don't know why you want to. Anyways, we're going to first figure out how tall these stand. They're sort of categorized, as best I could categorize them, into two height classes. One would be like the Jason, the Freddy, and the Pennywise, and then one would be the Chucky and the Annabelle. They're about the same height to one another. Each of these figures and are all 5.4 inches in height. In centimeters, that works out to be 13.7, so a little over 13.5 centimeters tall. We're going to switch that back over to inches, and we're going to get the smaller sizing going for Annabelle and Chucky. I'm going to put that right to the very top of her head. I'm going to stop it right there. 4 inches exactly is what I'm reading on this readout of my trusty tape measure for both Chucky and Annabelle. And that in centimeters works out to be 10.3 centimeters tall. The figures, and I use the term loosely, calling them figures, come with accessories. And I use the term accessories also rather loosely. They come with 3 accessories. You sort of can kind of look at them and know which accessory goes with which figure. I guess with the one mystery wild card being the knife. The only accessory that I actually can get into any one of the figures, on any of the figures, is the fedora on Freddy. It sort of just sits on his head, just like that. Doesn't sit well. I don't know if it was actually designed and molded to fit onto Freddy's head, but that's as good as you're going to get. You don't want to pull the blizzard test on this guy. The hat's going to fall off, roll onto the floor, and roll under the couch. You don't want that. The other thing, like I said, accessory-wise, comes with a balloon, so you can kind of already know which figure this is going to go with. Good luck, though, actually attaching this to the hand of Pennywise. Not only is the grip not properly fitted for the string, but all of this is made of I don't even know what material this is. It feels soft, so it's not quite, doesn't feel like it's rubber. It feels like it's possibly plastic. But all the figures feel like they're really cheap plastic. So, again, you're getting a balloon, but you're really not going to be able to do anything with the balloon. It's painted for the most part, possibly painted with a person's eyes closed. At least they knew red. But I mean, like, there's all this silver, and it's just a mess. It looks like it was a lint roller, and you just kind of rolled it on the floor, pick up anything and everything you could find. That is the balloon, ladies and gentlemen. And also, and again, like, we can have good fun with this. I mean, I know somebody took the time and the care to mold these for themselves and then sell them in an open forum and market like eBay. But I don't mean to diminish these in any way. I mean, they are what they are. If you like the charming appeal of these, then by all means, pick them up. I know I do. And then last and certainly not least, you get yourself a knife. I mean, we could guess that the knife goes with Chucky. I mean, that was my first guess. But the handle is way too big. I don't know what hand this was actually designed for, what figure this was designed for, but I can certainly tell you it was not designed for Chucky. It's like a small child holding on to a stump of wood. You just can't do that, no matter how much you want it to happen. The knife is painted in all black. They went quite generously on the black. And as I said, though, nothing really pegs into place. You have all these little extra pieces that are sticking up from Chucky. Ironically enough, I mean, if you look at it, it actually looks like they used clear plastic. Well, that's already inviting problems. So why don't we have a look at Chucky first, and we'll kind of just run the gambit of all the very cool new figures, this hot new collectible line, available only exclusively on eBay. Chucky looks a little bit more like a Muppet you would expect to find on Sesame Street. I can't imagine there'd be many Muppets on Sesame Street that has scarring like this, but it kind of reminds me of a character I would have seen walking the streets of Sesame, or possibly even the Muppet Show. Very big googly eyes and quite heavily shaded, I also might say, in the black. The paint on this is acceptable. We'll just call it acceptable. He's apparently been quite burned in the neck, as there's an area of the figure that's been painted in black. The rest of the figure, for the most part, they understand what colors are used for Chucky. I mean, he's got blue, white, and green stripes on his shirt, and then, of course, he's got his all blue coveralls. You won't be finding any footprints on this guy. He's just simply been painted in all red with a white trim on his feet. He does have some posability. His head rotates back and forth, so I mean, that's something. You get a bit of the paint flaking as you're doing this, and then the arms rotate back and forth. But again, if you look at this section right here, it does look like, doesn't it, that it was molded and cast using clear plastic. And Chucky looks like he's also been handling cocaine. We don't want to make joke of cocaine or knock off figures, but that's what we got here, ladies and gentlemen. We got a slightly posable Chucky who looks like he's been selling drugs on the market. Anyways, we'll put him to the side. Let's look at Annabelle. Why don't we stick with the small scale? Well, I mean, Annabelle, like I said, much like Chucky, is serviceable in the sense that you get at least who it is. I mean, I look at it and I struggle with the idea that this is Annabelle, but at least I know it's an Annabelle figure. Probably the dead giveaway is the fact that she does have the white dress. With what I might also just say, has no feet whatsoever underneath. Strangely, instead, she's got this kind of button switch, and when you press it, it lights up her dress. I don't feel like that was actually mentioned in the eBay listing. So again, if you're looking to pick this one up, might I just also add to the listing of this eBay auction that Annabelle features rainbow light-up dress. It is what it is. And to turn it off, you just press that button on the underside. It goes through a couple of different cycles and then eventually turns itself off. Why does she have a light-up rainbow dress? Your guess is as good as mine. Annabelle's articulation is her head would rotate, but I think there's just so much paint on it. Rotating the head would most definitely break it right off, so I'm just going to leave that as be. She does also have rotations back and forth on her arms. Everything is really quite tight on it. She does have, I guess, some panel lining, so some detail was added to her. But what's the deal with the light-up dress? It's almost like this part was something separate. Almost as if it's, I almost feel, correct me if I'm wrong, I might feel like that is a light-up, shot glass. You know, something that you would serve people at parties. I guess in this instance, instead, you're going to be putting shots in the bottom of Annabelle's dress. And then you can just proceed to give this to people. Don't be drinking from this. Don't be drinking from this. But it does look like it could be a light-up shot glass. I don't know. eBay. Next we'll have a look at is Pennywise. And we'll kind of revisit the balloon here. Like I said, the balloon doesn't really fit into his hand. I guess it much like suggested servings on the back of boxes. And who really watches and understands and really follows those suggested servings? It's suggested that he holds this. He's not really intended to be holding anything, Jack. Pennywise is okay. kind of looks, well, I mean, all of them kind of look like cartoon characters. But Pennywise, well, no. I was going to say Pennywise might be the worst, but we haven't touched on Freddy Krueger yet. That sounded so bad. Nonetheless, though, we've got Pennywise here. Again, like, if you look at him, and this guy has this as well. I mean, Chucky doesn't have it. I don't know if he's supposed to have it. And the other figures, as far as I know, don't feature this at all. And yet, two of the figures have light-up abilities. Now, obviously, if you suffer from seizure-inducing, issues with, of course, flickering lights, may turn away right now. What's the deal with this? Why does Pennywise have to have psychedelic dance club lights emanating from his body? I get the fact that he's a light. He's a big ball of light, 3 lights. But what's the deal with this? This makes absolutely no sense. Again, I feel like it's not even listed on the auction. So it's just something, I guess the seller thought, you know what? I mean, you could pick up the knockoff horror figures from the next guy, but are you going to be able to get knockoff horror figures that actually light up? You will with my auction. The paint on this guy is sort of that kind of silverish white with some panel lining done in there. And of course the pom-poms on the front as well as his belt and the area around his ruffle are painted in red. So some care to detail has been made on this guy. He's sort of just uninterested Pennywise. He'll kill you if he sees you nearby, but he's really not going to make much the effort if he has to walk down the street to go killing you. If he has to go down further those manhole openings to kill unsuspecting children, he'd rather just wait it out. This Pennywise doesn't give too much. He's just going to wait it out until somebody comes around his open manhole cover. If they don't, we can wait another day. I'm in no hurry. No hurry Pennywise would again have head articulation, but I don't know what's just like so much paint going on in there. Moving the head is next to impossible. The arms luckily can be moved. I would love to see how this person constructed this. It's like initially their main idea was the light, and we just sort of worked around that. Why not? Take an idea that goes maybe something different to the consumers, and just kind of find a way to work around it. His idea, the pitch of this idea was light up figures, and we'll simply just create figures around them. That's Pennywise. Moving him to the side. I actually don't mind Jason. Surprisingly, in all honesty, I don't mind Jason. His mask is not removable, and I think if you tried removing it, you just break his head right off. There's a simplicity to Jason, and maybe where the charm for me comes into play. He does have what looks to be little slashes and bullet holes, possibly on his back. I don't really know what specifically this guy was made out of, nor do I really understand what any of these figures were made from. Quite clay. It looks like it could be plastic. Again, it was taken from a mold. But like I said, Jason isn't terrible. He's sort of been airbrushed, or somebody splashed a spaghetti dinner, heavily covered and saturated with Parmesan cheese, just all over Jason's shirt. This is calm Jason, so Jason would normally have just sliced your head off, but spaghetti sauce and Parmesan cheese all over your shirt, Jason, again, doesn't care too much about that. He does have gray pants with, again, more marinara sauce. Obviously, that's supposed to be blood. And no peg holes to be found on any of these figures. For the most part, they do stand. I guess Pennywise might be the more difficult of the batch to get to properly stand. His articulation is his head rotates all the way around, and his arms rotate all the way around. Pretty much samesies as all the other figures that we've had a look at. Doesn't come with his machete. I guess you could say he could be using the hunting knife, but who are we kidding? No one is going to be able to fit that broad handle into their hand. Last, and probably most jokingly last, we've got ourselves Pennywise. We've got ourselves Freddy Krueger. I'm not really sure what's happened to Freddy. He looks like somebody has molded him from a cheese puff. What is up with Freddy's face? Of course, it's artist representation. It's artist creativity at work here. Somebody decided in their mind this is what Freddy looked like for them and decided to mold him based from that. He looks like a corn pop. What is it, the corn pop cereal? I used to have those as a kid. Kind of looks like a corn pop that's been sculpted with eyes, nose, and a mouth. I guess they've got the wrinkling happening going on there with a little bit of blood, or maybe it's just more continuation of his burn. He's got some red on his face, and he has quite a bit of red on his face. So when we move further down, this is kind of where the artist has decided for himself what film sequel this Freddy would be pulled from. Obviously, he has stripes in his sleeve, so we know it's not Nightmare on Elm Street. It does almost look, for a split second, I had to quickly stop myself and remind myself what I was looking at. He almost looked like he had elbow articulation. Elbow articulation, come on. He does have, again, some lines and slashes, and he's got a couple in his arms. He's got some on his back. I mean, the paint isn't terrible. I mean, we've sort of just guessed where we decided to put the stripes. Here, no, I'll move to the next one. Even if I miss the next one, there's another one after that. So at least it alternates somewhat here. It just falls apart completely on his sleeves. Again, not really sure what's going on. And again, I don't know what's going on here with this futuristic glove that Freddy has crafted for himself. Sort of in the same way, kind of looks like when you break your finger and they give you those metal splints and, they kind of wrap your finger up. He's got all of that. He's crafted his glove out of those metal sort of finger braces that you get from the hospital. This is future Freddy. This is Freddy from 2049. He's still around. Silver pants apparently are in style back in the future time as well. He's got really silver pants. I'm guessing these were probably all black, and simply they just painted over top of it with whatever color they decided to go with, while still sticking the Muppet-sized shoes. Kind of looks like something that Bert would be wearing. They're slightly smaller in size, and they're all kind of done in all black paint. The shoes aren't terrible, but again, it looks like almost a little bit more like what Chucky would be wearing. And yet, ironically, Chucky's got these big box-sized shoes. Freddy looks a little bit more like what you would expect from Chucky. Articulation on this guy, his head rotates all the way around. Just like as you move it. I mean, I'll give props where they're deserving. At the very least, he did, or she forged, or an owl made these actual ball joints. But it has me somewhat guessing as to whether they actually just ripped the ball joint off of another figure and glued it in place, just because the neck is so high up. The arms rotate all the way around. You won't be getting any hand articulation or elbow articulation or waist articulation. None of that stuff. Really, what are you expecting? Let's go ahead and put his fedora back on, which just moderately stays in place. And there you have it. Another outing into the realm of eBay, and look what I managed to find for myself. That's not 100% true. Again, a big thank you to that gentleman had reached out to me and told me all about these things. That's the thing about it. I wouldn't even have known these existed unless somebody had contacted me, or if I had just decided to go down the rabbit hole myself. And I ended up ultimately finding these, and what a treasure trove these were. Not only do we get interestingly sculpted and painted figures, but in the case of Pennywise and Annabelle, we also have light-up options. Why? Apparently that's a selling point, which ironically, again enough, I don't even think it was mentioned in the auction that light-up was even available on these figures. Just an FYI to the seller of these, you may want to be doing yourself a better service, sir, by including the fact that some of your figures actually have light-up options. I think the chances of sales are likely to skyrocket for all of those collectors on the market looking for that one special Annabelle and that one special Pennywise that can actually light up rainbow colors. Your quest is finished, my friends. It's right in front of you here. Today we were having a look at some more interesting knockoff horror figures. We had some fun. I had some fun, at least. And hopefully along the way, you guys had fun as well. We have a light-up Pennywise. You know what? Let's wrap this review up in a positive way. Let's put the lights going on here. We only have on two of them after all, so we're going to do that right now. Yeah, today we were having a look at some knockoff figures with two of them that have light-up options. What's going on with that? I don't know. If you like videos like this, you actually could go back onto this channel. I've done a couple of knockoff bootleg horror figures. I hope you enjoy those videos. I certainly always have a blast recording these. It's just, you never know what you're going to be getting. And I had no idea what I was going to be getting until I opened these up and realized they had a light switch. I couldn't even make that up. Couldn't even make that up. If you guys like the content you see on this channel and haven't yet had a chance, look at those psychedelic. Scream! Anyways, if you guys are interested in subscribing to this channel, if you haven't done so already, hit that bell notification and keep your peepers peeled. While we may not always be looking at bootleg horror figures, every once in a while I hope to open up and surprise you guys with something else I was able to stumble onto eBay. It doesn't get any cooler than this. Keep your peepers peeled, members of the mob. There's going to be a whole lot of videos coming your way. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.